Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a bit more of a serious video. As you may or may not be aware, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and I was planning to upload a video talking about mental health and my issues around mental health, my experience with mental health and everything to do with mental health. But I just thought this would be more fitting to fit it in this week, considering it is Mental Health Awareness Week. But yeah, I don't really know where to start. I mean, I can start off by saying I do suffer from borderline personality disorder, and this whole video will basically be about borderline personality disorder and in the symptoms and how I go in my day-to-day with the condition. I know there are quite a few videos of young people talking about their experience with BPD on YouTube, so it's kind of given me some inspiration and some motivation to try and do a video of my own to explain my situation, because I know that I find it helpful when I hear other people talk about it, and it's kind of comforting in a way to feel like you're not alone. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna go on my phone. I'm going on the Mind website, and on there it's just gonna say all the symptoms, and it's just going to, it has a few quotes from people who suffer from it. And yeah, so I'm just going to start with just letting you know what BPD is. Borderline personality disorder is a type of personality disorder. Now, there are 3 clusters of personality disorders. You have cluster A, cluster B, and cluster C. And I can go into that right now if you'd like. If you're not really interested in that, you can just skip this part. No, I suddenly can't find it. Okay, so cluster A, I overheard someone saying that they're in 3 clusters, and I've overheard someone saying before you have the mad, bad, and the sad. So the cluster A is paranoid personality disorder, schizoid, schizotypal, and antisocial. But I think antisocial is kind of underlays all of them. Emotional and impulsive, so basically cluster B is borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic. And cluster C is avoidant, dependent, and obsessive compulsive. But yeah, those are all the clusters. But like I said, this is about me, this video, in the sense it's about what I suffer with, which is BPD. But yeah, BPD is just a personality disorder where your attitudes, beliefs, and behaviours cause you long-standing problems in your life. So this is a long lifetime condition. It will never leave me. It will always be there. My behaviours will always be there. There are therapies that do help. I wouldn't say contain the symptoms and the problems, but they do. They do help you manage, because the people with BPD usually have bad habits, constant bad patterns. And what most of these therapies do are, help. They help, what's that word? They help manage, they help cope. And when it comes to bad habits, so there are loads of bad habits that people with BPD do. So the people with bad habits, they try to, when you go to therapy, they try to give you alternatives. But I can now tell you, this is a quote from somebody on the Mind website. This is an unknown quote from somebody who suffers from it. It says, "It's scary. One moment I'm really happy, and then the next I'm crying for absolutely no reason or having a go at people. People think I'm just being moody for the sake of it." Now this I can totally relate to. I have this problem all the time. I'm usually called things like drama queen. I over exaggerate. I make such a scene out of nowhere. I make mountains out of molehills. Trust me, I've heard it all. I genuinely don't think I do any of those things. It's just, I feel it's just how my brain works. With BPD, it's a very black or white kind of life. It's either all good or all bad. There's no reasoning whatsoever. It's quite hard, because suddenly, you know, one person, you may not know this person, and one time you see them and they might have one opinion of something, and you know, most normal people would just go, okay, I don't agree with that opinion, but they wouldn't judge that person on that one opinion. People with my condition usually do that, and that's where I find myself very isolated, because I find that when one person makes one mistake or has one opinion that I disagree with, or their behavior I disagree with, I instantly, I wouldn't say I hold a grudge against them, but I switch off from them, and I'm just not really interested in them. And it's not something I personally feel I can control. I mean, if there's something that, you know, there is out there that controls it or makes it better or tames it or something, then great, but I have never heard of it. But that's what I suffer with. But I will go through the symptoms now. Okay, the first symptom on here says you feel very worried about people abandoning you, and you would do anything to stop that happening. Now, I have this problem. I hate being left alone. I literally, I wouldn't say I go mad, it's just, it makes me feel very anxious, it makes me feel very unsafe, vulnerable. It just makes me feel all the things I don't want to feel. And I feel like all the people around me that I kind of make them be with me all the time, I feel like they suffer so much because of it, which is so unfair. But I feel like my feelings inside are so strong that I feel I wouldn't say I wouldn't trust myself on my own, it's just my feelings make me feel like I shouldn't trust myself being by myself. But another thing is I have a problem with is I'm scared, because I have anger issues, and this is also part of BPD. I'm scared when I have an argument, after what I've noticed with myself is when I have an argument, I instantly say sorry, whether I feel, you know, like if I'm wrong or not, I feel I have to say sorry, because I'm scared, absolutely petrified that I'm going to be, you know, no one's going to talk to me for like God knows how long, they're not going to want to know me, and all these things worry the hell out of me. So I would rather just absolutely try and do anything after an argument to make things better. Now, most people, after an argument has happened, they need like cool off time, and they want to have the time to think about it, and they don't usually go and hug that person straight away after an argument. With me, it's a little bit different. I feel that I have to go and make things better straight away, whether like I'm not even thinking. I feel like I don't realize that that person needs some space, but I just feel so scared that I feel I have to do everything in my power to make the situation better. And I mean, sometimes I even break down and like cry, because I'm just so upset with myself that I've done it again. Okay, the next symptom is you have very intense emotions that last from a few hours to a few days and can change quickly. For example, from you feeling very happy and confident in the morning to feeling low and sad in the afternoon. Now, this is me every day. I switch like this all the time. Like, my problem is, for instance, I come across as very lazy, but what usually happens is I feel very happy in the morning. I've just woken up and oh my god, I love life, everything like this, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do today. I want to do this, this and this. And by the time I've got ready and I've like, you know, had breakfast and I've eaten it and everything, that's it, I switch. I'm down and I don't want to do anything. I'm just not in the mood. I've lost interest. And this is my battle every day. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to deal with. I feel like my moods, like I don't feel like I have, you know, I don't have moments where I feel okay, I can just about get by, but I, you know, it's annoying, but I can get by. I never get that. I either get really happy, life is great, I can't wait to live my life, blah 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 blah, can't wait to get on with the day, today's gonna be a great day, and then suddenly I want to die, I hate the world. It just goes from one extreme to the other, and that's really like well, it's a bit distressing, but it's very tiring more than anything. I always go to sleep at night really mentally exhausted, even if I haven't done anything all day. It's just my brain tires me out so much. It is unbearable sometimes. The next one says you don't have a strong sense of who you are, and it can change depending on who you with. This is not really that bad of a problem. There's not much of a problem for me. For me, I do question myself a lot, and I find that when someone gives me an opinion, or for instance questions how I dress or how I look, or goes, oh, I wouldn't really, wear that if I were you, I get very confused and I get conflicting thoughts in my head. The next one says, you find it very hard to make and keep stable relationships. Making relationships, I don't have an issue with. I can come across as very extroverted, and I can come out very bubbly and everything like that. Keeping them is the issue. I find that I become too intense way too quickly, and I find that people get scared of me, but like not in a way of like a, a serial killer kind of scared. It's more like, well, she's just moving too quickly, she really wants to have sleepovers, we just met yesterday, do you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So it's quite hard to have, friendships. I don't actually have any friendships because it's just so difficult. Like, my family and my boyfriend already struggle with me, and putting more people into the picture for me is going to be stressful, and because I'm going to be stressed about it, the other person's going to pick up, and it's going to just become an absolute mess. I wouldn't say I'm not in the right place, it's just I've had such bad experiences in the past. I'm kind of put off, and I don't know, I just find it really hard to keep a friend, that's all really. You act impulsively and do things that could harm you, such as binge eating, using drugs, or driving dangerously. This can also mean self-harming, this can also mean smoking, alcoholism, all these things. Yeah, I think pretty much anyone with BPD does have some sort of bad pattern or habit. They do have, a form of this. And for me, I think I've gone through pretty much everything. But I feel with me, I don't know, because I feel like one minute I feel like I've had moments in my life where I feel like, okay, today I'm gonna like drink all my sorrows away, and then when I started doing it, I feel so happy, and I like when I'm about to do it, like my mind changes instantly, and I feel this is where the impulsive emotions come in. And it's just like when I'm so sad, I go lean towards, or anxious, I go towards these bad behaviors, but then suddenly, because of my impulsive emotions, I suddenly switch. And sometimes when I've done something already, I'm like, oh, I should have not done that. Oh my gosh. And then like it just kind of goes into a bad, cycle. Sometimes like when I'm in a really good place, I do kind of go, oh, well, at least I won't do it next time. There's always the next time. I'm fine this time. But yeah, sometimes, most of the time I do feel like, oh crap, I should have not done that, which is really frustrating. You have suicidal thoughts or self-harming behavior. Oh no, this is what I was talking about. The you act impulsively is a bit different. Acting impulsively is more like you want to do it now. And this is where my spending problem comes in. I feel whenever I have money, I don't feel it should be, sitting there by itself. No, I don't agree with that. I don't know what it is. I just feel I need to spend the money, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't understand why I have it. But yeah, I'm pretty much broke 24/7 because I'm always spending money, and most of the time it's on stupid things I don't even need. And it's just really frustrating because I'm always spending money. Deliveries are coming to my house all the time, and like half the time, like I don't need half of these things. You feel empty and lonely a lot of the time. Now, I live with my family and my boyfriend visits me a lot. However, I do feel like sometimes I'm in a house with no people. I feel very alone. And I don't know where this comes from, but I feel like there are some parts of me that I'm missing. And I think I know what they are, but at the same time, I'm not too sure. Because I feel like there are days where I feel completely, fully complete, but there's this underlying feeling of aloneness and, loneliness and, all this kind of feelings. You get very angry and struggle to control your anger. Now, this has always been my issue ever since I was a child. I've just had anger issues ever since I was a child. Obviously, it's gotten worse through my teenage years. But yeah, this is something that, I'm embarrassed of, to be honest, because I feel, I feel like there's a stigma that at my age, being a woman, all these things, I feel like I shouldn't have this kind of rage that, like, you'd see like most, crazy bulky men in prison have. I feel like that's that's not shouldn't be me, because I come across as this really innocent, dainty kind of girl, and then this like monster comes out of me. How I would describe my anger is just basically very demonic, and it is way larger than me. I physically and personally cannot control it. And sometimes, because I want to fight the urge to be violent and hurt anybody, because obviously I love everyone that I live with, I just end up screaming, because the anger becomes inside of me so strong that I just can't contain it, and it just comes out by screaming. It's just the only way I can get it out. When you are very stressed, sometimes you might feel paranoid, have psychotic experiences, feel numb or checked out. Yeah, I don't really have the numb feeling, but I definitely have the other two. Paranoia and psychotic experiences is a very regular occurring thing. Everybody that knows me pretty much knows me that I'm permanently stressed. And I don't know what can possibly stress me out, because I feel like what's happened in my life has happened, and it's happened quite a while ago. But then saying that again, I do have like blips and things that do keep like small, you know, what most people think are small and minor. Lots of little things keep happening, and I think after a while it just builds up, and then I become like permanently stressed. But yeah, I do suffer from paranoia. I mean, half the time, I don't really say half the time, that's quite, you know, exaggerated. Often I feel like, you know, this sounds crazy, but I feel like sometimes people are looking at me or laughing at me all the time, or like plotting against me. The worst for me is the plotting. I have this thing in my head fixated that people are like in a cult, and they're against, you know, out to get me. And I'm not too sure where I got this idea from. But yeah, that's the worst thing about my paranoia. It's just this whole plotting thing. It drives me mad, to be honest, because I feel conflicted, especially with my family, because I feel that with my family, I love them and they always show me love, and then inside my head I'm like, haha, you're faking it, you know. It's like, you know, it conflicts my mind, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to think and stuff. So that's really frustrating. Psychotic experiences I've been having for a very long time. I've actually been coming up to almost a decade I've been having them, which is a very long time. I guess they're not as bad as they used to be. But I do get the odd hearing the voices, and I do sometimes see things that obviously are not there. Well, I think they're there, but they actually are not there, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is very stressful, and it makes me feel on the edge. And that's another reason why I don't like being alone, is because I find that my psychotic experiences sometimes, because I'm stressed about being alone, they get worse, and then I get more scared. So it's harder for me to be left alone. So yeah, that's that. But because you only need to experience 5 of these possible symptoms to be given diagnosis, BPD can be a very broad diagnosis and include lots of different people with very different experiences. So like everyone can have, you know, you have to have at least 5 to qualify. I pretty much have all of them. But you know, it's just very, personality disorder is very hard to diagnose, bottom line. You can't diagnose it until you finish your teenage years, so basically around 18, simply because a lot of teenagers do experience most of these symptoms because of hormones, so it's very hard to diagnose. And another thing I wanted to mention was when you are growing up in your teenage years, and obviously you can't be diagnosed with BPD, you often get misdiagnosed. Now I've got about 6-7 diagnoses or something like that round to my name, but then one of the most common ones which I've heard recently, which are people misdiagnosed with, is post-traumatic stress disorder, which is very peculiar, but if you look into the similarities you'd kind of understand why. But yeah, that's pretty much the most similarities. This is another quote on the page. For me, having BPD is like the emotional version of being a burn victim. Everything in the world hurts more than it seems to hurt for anyone else, and any thick skin you are supposed to have just isn't there. Yeah, I just feel permanently vulnerable, and I feel confused. So the main emotions I actually feel, or feelings, whatever you want to call them, are confusion, vulnerability, anger, and I just feel vulnerable permanently. I feel like even though I do trust and love my family and my boyfriend very much, I do still feel vulnerable, and I find it hard to trust people because I feel once I do trust them, it's not more like I don't know, it's not like I find it hard to trust them, it's just I do trust them quite easily. It's just I can lose trust quite quickly. The smallest thing can really make me lose my trust for somebody quite quickly. But if anyone has any questions or does suffer from BPD, then do leave me a comment, and I'm more than happy to talk about it, because if I wasn't happy to talk about it, I wouldn't be doing a video and posting it on YouTube. So yeah, I'm definitely open about my condition and more than happy to talk about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I'd love if you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.